Hi, I'm Colin Seal. I'm the founder and CEO of thinkLaw, where we help educators teach critical thinking using real-life legal cases in upper grades, fairy tales and nursery rhymes in lower grades, and a lot of really exciting practical critical thinking strategies for teachers, for parents. And today, one of the most exciting parts of our work is things that kids can take and just go completely bananas with. And that's what we have here with the Hack-A-Thon for Social Change, the COVID-19 edition. This is session one, and if we are really thinking about the way that we can take this as far as we can, we want to make sure you understand that this is part one of two different sessions. So you're going to download this one, and you're going to make sure you have the information for the next part of this as well, because the Hack-A-Thon has two separate parts to it. Let me back up for a second and make sure that you're clear with the materials that you have. So we have some downloadable things that you can print out to help you do some of the activities in this session. However, pencil and paper work just fine too. So you don't need to necessarily have these things. And I don't think there's an age limit for this lesson as well. So if your child is 4 or 5 years old and doesn't actually know how to write yet, doesn't matter. Take those ideas, let them record themselves. There's so many ways to engage our kids in critical thinking. Let's not create any barriers here. Helpful tools for you if you need them. So if you want to share some of the ideas that come out of the session, please make sure you can have your parents take a picture and tag us at thinkLawUS. And use the hashtag thinkCovid-19 because we've got some really, really exciting things that I think all of you are going to want to see when other young people across the country are starting to share their ideas for what we're coming up with here. So let's talk about where we're at. We are in new space. A lot of us have never been in a position where you've had to learn from home, where you're seeing your schoolwork being delivered through the computer, or you used to go on to school physically being in front of a teacher, but that's not where we're at. We're not there. Here's the thing. Even though we have barriers, even though it might be a bind for a lot of folks, it's been long held by Plato, a very famous philosopher, that necessity is the mother of invention. A philosopher I think is equally famous, Tupac Shakur, once talked about all the innovation involved when you're in a space where you have to make $1 out of 15 cents. Either way you look at it, when you are backed into a corner, a lot of our best ideas tend to come up. And who better to ask for those great ideas than young people? So to give you a little bit of a background of a similar sort of story, I remember being in the bind myself. I remember being in a space where I was teaching middle school and high school math during the day, going to law school at night, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. And as I was strapped for time and all this pressure, I had this aha moment. What if we taught kids to think critically the same way lawyers do? We gave them the different analytical skills to look at things from different perspectives and ask questions to get information. And more importantly, we can get them super engaged by tapping into their sense of fairness and justice. Or for middle school kids, unfairness and injustice. So getting my back against the wall was a part of what got us to this point where we got really innovative, created thinkLaw, and now we're working with schools across 25 different states. I want you to think about the same exact concept from where we are right now. We're in this very important time where we're being asked to flatten the curve. What does this mean? By staying home, by being really, really careful about our contacts with other people, by making sure we're in really small groups, we're going to make sure that viral infections don't spike. They don't overwhelm our hospitals, they don't overwhelm our support systems, and we can have a much more flatter process of a gradual progression of the virus so that we don't have these shocks to the system that are much, much harder to deal with. Practically speaking, what does this mean? It means we're asking people to implement social distancing. Now, there might be some people that are looking at this and say, this is what I've always been waiting for because I don't even really like being around people. But if you're not one of those people, it could be sort of rough to realize that I can't go outside and go to the park and be around a whole bunch of kids, or go to the, the arcade or the store and be around people where kids are playing. It's different. But at the same time, when we talk about social distancing, we gotta ask a certain question. Why is it so hard? Why do we have people that are having these breakdowns when it comes to, I don't really want to not go to restaurants. I don't not want to hang out with my friends. I don't not want to get together at my weekly church service or other meetings that I just love to go to and spend time with, even playing sports or meeting up with a group of people and playing basketball. I can't do that. Social distancing is hard. But why? Well, get to the why. What we're going to do is we're going to come up with a root cause analysis. We're going to make sure that no matter what the question is that we're asking, we're digging deep into a lot of the main picture of what's going on. This is a real technique used by anyone that's really trying to get to the root of an issue. As a lawyer, we use this all the time to really figure out, like, where is the problem really? So that we can settle a case or find a solution that's actually going to solve the real problem rather than something that's just sitting on the surface of that problem. So remember, we give you those sheets and you can use these sheets as you do this activity, or you can just use paper like you see on the right-hand side of the screen. Let's go through this a little bit to kind of understand the cycle. What you're going to do in round one is you're going to come up with an answer to why social distancing is hard. The whole idea here is that we're going to just list as many things going across as we can. In this case, you see an example of there's 3 different things. There's 3 different reasons that people might think social distancing is hard. Once you finish that first round, what you're going to do is pick just one of them. Pick the one that you like the most and start going down the cycle and ask why. So if one of the reasons that social distancing is hard is because people aren't used to being home so much, we might ask the question, well, why aren't people used to being home so much? And if we start going down and we start asking why, we start going down and go further down this cycle of like, okay, they're not used to being home so much because they might not have much to do at home. And they don't have much to do at home because they might not have a lot of money. They're not home that often, so they haven't bought puzzles and games. And we start getting down to the root of what's actually happening. I want you to go through this cycle because when you get to this cycle and you find the things at the bottom, I want you to figure out which root cause you're the most excited about addressing. You'll probably have several options at the bottom, but I want you to pick just one. And once you pick one of those root causes, you're going to take just 5 minutes. If you want to take more time because you just feel so creatively motivated, take 5 hours. I'm sure your parents would appreciate that. Brainstorm every possible solution to this root cause. And when you do this, again, on a sheet of paper or on the sheet that we give you, you are going to then pick your very favorite idea. And that idea right there, that solution is going to be the piece that we're going to use for session 2. What I want you to do is if you get to that point where you pick that solution that you're really excited about and you want to work with your parents to take a picture of that or take a short 1-minute video of you talking about the idea, talking about the process of how you went from your main problem to your root cause, if you want to post that out on Instagram or on Twitter with the hashtag thinkCovid-19, please go ahead and do that so you can be a part of this learning community. I know it's tough with a lot of us sort of, locked in our own spaces and not being able to get out. So collaborate, share your ideas. You have great ideas. And do you know what? Look around. We really need them.